Hello, welcome back to the Stitching Scotland Story podcast. On this episode, we're joined by Michelle Sterrick, Education Officer for the Great Tapestry of Scotland. Today, Michelle will take us through her duties as an education officer and how the Great Tapestry of Scotland Visitor Centre uses technology and storytelling to connect with school children and young adults. Enjoy. Michelle, thank you for joining us today.
Oh, thank you for having me.
If you can just start off by introducing yourself and explaining your role at the Tapestry.
Yeah, my name's Michelle Sterrick. I'm the Education Development Officer at the Great Tapestry of Scotland. My role here is on a secondment. My main job is I am Principal Teacher of Social Studies, Business and RME at Jedburgh Grammar Campus. So my main employer is actually Scottish Borders Council. I am currently on a secondment and my secondment was initially for a year. It's been extended for another year, which is great. So 3 days a week I work in the Great Tapestry of Scotland, and 2 days I'm still back at Jedburgh Grammar Campus teaching as I normally would do there.
How did you get involved with the Tapestry?
Well, I feel very lucky to be in the role that I am. It all started purely with me coming home one afternoon, a Friday afternoon from work, and the very first week that the Tapestry had opened in the Galashiels Visitor Centre, I thought, I'm going to go and see the Tapestry. So I wanted to see what it was all about. And literally, I just came up to the stairs, and from the first panel, I immediately thought, oh, wow, this is incredible. I have to bring young people here. And I suppose, as being a teacher, you always have your teacher's hat on. Immediately saw opportunities and immediately had a vision and could see things that I would love to do with young people, bring young people to see it, and so many ideas just kept flying. So I held that thought. The first time I visited the Tapestry, I was there for about 3 hours. I only covered about, I think, 40 panels. I had to come back for subsequent visits. I loved it so much. There was just so much to see and learn, and it just evokes lots of emotions and memories as well. It was just fantastic. So I went back to school and obviously shared with my managers at school how amazing the resource was in terms of a platform for teaching, actually. And I just saw so much potential there, not just history. There's so many other themes. You know, you've got sport, you've got music, you've got literacy, geography, science, maths. There's absolutely everything in our Tapestry. So not just history, you know, across the wide curricular. So just immediately thought, wow, this is fantastic. We need to get our young people here. So I did inquire if there were any education programmes within the Tapestry. With it just newly being set up, there wasn't. There was no projects or programmes for schools to come in or schools to visit. So to cut a long story short, but with the help of the management within Jedburgh Grammar Campus and senior leadership within the council, I ended up being seconded. So I started from a blank canvas. It was very much, with the 3 days a week, I very much started designing workshops and programmes for, if our young people did visit, that it would be a meaningful visit for them to come. And very much my workshops were tailored around what they were learning in school as well. With being a teacher, it's absolutely fantastic because I know the demands of the current Scottish curriculum, so I know exactly, you know, the experiences and outcomes that our young people need to achieve and progress. So I tailor my workshops to ensure that the children are meeting, you know, the requirements in the classroom, if you like. So that's been a really, really exciting programme. Just working really closely with the teachers as well. I very much didn't want the Tapestry, you know, it's not just a case of come up, walk around, see the panels and go back to school again. It's making the visit more meaningful because there is just so many lessons in there, so many lessons that you could teach just from the platform of the Tapestry and its panels.
So as an education development officer, do you run exclusively workshops? So what would your remit be particularly?
Well, my remit is if a school was to call in and say we would like to visit the Tapestry, that's absolutely fantastic. And obviously schools can just come in, you know, and just come up the stairs and just walk around, you know, and just look at the panels. However, what I like to do is I like to work with the teacher and say, absolutely, you can come. And obviously I'm in 3 days a week. What specifically would you like to look at? So for example, a class teacher might be looking at the Romans, right? Another class teacher might be looking at the Scottish Wars of Independence. So what we do is when the schools come in, I give them a general introduction to what the tapestry is all about and why the tapestry is in Galashiels. And then I tailor a specific workshop around the needs of the teacher. And that's not just necessarily a history lesson. It could be, so for example, we had a school in last week and they wanted to focus on sewing. So we did sewing workshops as well. So there's also art and design, which, art and design, creating, sewing. We had pupils in here last week sitting on the floor with a sketchbook, which is absolutely fantastic. So there's just so much to do, but it's very much working with the teachers to see what they're learning in the classroom and to build on learning in the classroom when they come and visit the tapestry.
At the heart of this podcast is this idea of storytelling and stories.
Yes. Wow.
And so my question is, how can we get history to connect to young people? And how can we make stories and storytelling come alive for young people through things like the tapestry?
The tapestry is just amazing. There are 160 panels of pure Scottish history, and every single panel is the beginning of a story. And this is what I think there's almost a bit of magic about the tapestry as well. So for example, if you have a look, there is a panel, the death of Alexander III. Well, the death of Alexander III in 1286, that is just the beginning of a huge story that sparked off the Scottish Wars of Independence. So behind every panel, there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of stories. So it's so exciting, for young people when they see that image, and then to educate the children about the stories behind it and then what happens afterwards. So that's, it's very much, I see it as very much as my role as making the history come alive and making it relevant, and also making links to what happened in the past to what's happening now, So it's important.
It absolutely is. So what would a typical lesson look like? And I'm just curious, how do the children engage?
Okay, yes, the children engage in many ways. And it's age dependent. So for example, I certainly deal with 3 to 18-year-olds, really, I would say, Marie. But education's for everybody. So obviously if there were sort of adults, I'm quite happy, to speak to adults as well. I've had little ones in, so I obviously have to tailor my lessons. So I've had little ones and I've actually done storytelling. So for example, with the little primary ones, little 5-year-olds, I read them a story about the Border Reivers, which was quite pertinent to them. And then we went upstairs and then I showed them the Border Reivers and the panels. So they loved that. So it's quite exciting. So it's making what they're learning come alive. What I like to do is, I think it's really important when children come to the tapestry is, all these children who, and wherever you're from, I always like to ask the children where they're from and where they were born. Because I feel that children need to have a sense of, they need to know where they've come from, and they need that sense of identity. And the Great Tapestry of Scotland can actually give them that sense of identity, because wherever they've come from, they're all, certainly if they've come from schools in Scotland, they're all part of Scotland's history. They're going to be Scotland's history in the future, which is quite exciting. So I always start off and ask them where they're from, and then I explain that this tapestry is part of their history. So that's quite exciting to do that to start with. And then I share with them why the tapestry's here, why Galashiels. So we look at, why we've chosen Galashiels. We talk about the interchange of the train station, so that's quite exciting. So that's good. And then what we do is I normally then focus on a lesson. I tailor my lesson to whatever they want to do. So as I say, it could be Romans, I could talk about World War I, the suffragettes, anything. So I normally do, how I get the pupils to engage, I love questioning. I love putting them in groups. The children all use their iPads. If children have iPads, it's great, really, really good for the children to engage with their iPads. They can write questions on their iPads. I can instantly see what they're doing on their iPads as well. And then what we do is we take them up the stairs, and then obviously they can see all the panels. With their iPads, it's fantastic because they can take photos with their iPads, and they can also sort of enlarge the photos and get the actual details. So that's quite exciting. So they can go up. When we go upstairs, it's age dependent. I can take the children, we can take the children into groups, and we can concentrate on specific panels. And sort of tell them backstories and tell them the history. What I particularly enjoy, and which the children particularly enjoy, is the secret stories in the panel.
We do have an entire podcast dedicated to the secrets.
So I don't want to give any spoilers. But there are some secrets in the panels, and fantastic secrets in the panels that I mean, there'll be some secrets we don't know about, but the stitchers have put their own individual sort of things in, little hidden details in the tapestry.
And how do the children respond to that?
They love that. They absolutely love it, because they think, how you speak to them and how you build them up, say, do you want to hear a secret? They just love it. And one of the favourite ones is our Rosslyn Chapel, the Rosslyn Chapel panel. And they love the Rosslyn Chapel because there is a mystery surrounding that panel. When that panel was first displayed, it was stolen.
Yes.
So that is another activity that I can do with the children, and that has actually been very successful in terms of literacy and writing, because what we have done with the children is it's sort of what, why, when, who, where. Please do a piece of writing about what happened to that tapestry, to the panel, and that has been really engaging and really successful, and really encouraged reluctant writers to write and get really excited about, using their imagination just from a panel, of sewing. It's incredible.
So if I understand that correctly, what you have the students do is they get to write a background story about why it was stolen?
Why they think, of course. Why they think, their imagination.
So
yes,
they can
absolutely.
Just use whatever they want.
So they can use their whatever imagination they want.
Can you share some of the stories that they came up with, or are they too personal?
Well, yes, some of them think that it was stolen for money. Some people think it's gone to America. Some people think it's aliens. So we have really diverse.
Well, that's what I was hoping.
There's a lot of sort of there's a lot of mystery surrounding Rosslyn Chapel itself.
Yes.
The Knights Templar and the Mason, the Masons and the carvings and things. So an Illuminati and the Dan Brown books. So so the older ones have some can come up with some really quite good conspiracy theories. So yeah.
What I really like to do is that, or what it sounds like, is that they can take away their own stories.
Absolutely.
About these stories, and that's the thing that I really love about the tapestry.
So there is the imagination behind the tapestry. So a panel can evoke imagination and lead you off somewhere. But the panels also tell true stories as well. So you've got your imagination, you've got the true stories, and you've also got the stitcher stories and hidden things in the panels. So there's almost like 3 panels, so it's not just a case of coming along, having a look, saying, oh, there's, pop music booms. There's just so much. There's so much there, and it can just take you off.
Earlier on the podcast, we had Alistair Moffat, who had joined us, and he was discussing all of the different bits. Some of this I didn't know. For example, on some of the miners' helmets, they had their identifying numbers.
That's right,
and
951.
That is a person. Yeah, and it's a person.
That's
who
exactly
did exist.
right.
And
exactly.
that immediately got me curious.
Yes.
About who this person was.
Absolutely.
And the fact that they are now, he was using language such as, an everyday person, but this person has now been embroidered and stitched into history.
Yeah. And last week, for example, we had a parent helper came with the school last week. Let's make the hairs go up my arm here. We had a parent helper in last week, and we had the Linwood production line, which is cars, right?
Okay.
And this lady, she was actually a grandmother of one of the children, and she saw the panel, and she was like, "Oh my goodness, I used to work in that factory. I cannot believe this." And she was absolutely, she goes, "Oh, I'm quite emotional," because she could see the cars, and that was wonderful, because she was then able to share with her grandchild and her children, the cars were designed and they didn't have mirrors, and, the engine was at the back, and it was incredible. And it was such a nice sort of multi-generational moment there for her to share that with the younger ones. So it's super. Yeah.
Absolutely. What a beautiful moment.
Yeah.
But I guess that leads me to my final question, which is the fact that the podcast is focused on storytelling and stories, telling Scotland story through textiles as well. But what I really would like to know is, which one's your favourite?
Well, I'm a historian myself, and without doubt, I think my absolute favourite, I studied medieval and modern history at St Andrews University. So I always feel I get drawn into the medieval zone. So I love the Scottish Wars of Independence, the abbeys, and obviously, but I have to say that St Andrews University panel 33 is my absolute favourite panel. First of all, I love it because there's the image of the students with the red gown, and I myself wore a red gown at St Andrews University and did the pier walks, so it evokes lots of super memories for me. I absolutely am passionate about history and teaching and learning, and for me St Andrews was just the best place to study history and to do and to learn those things. Obviously St Andrews is the oldest university in Scotland, and it's actually the third oldest in the English speaking world. It's actually fantastic. Yeah, so I felt quite honoured to go as well. And the panel depicts how in 1413 it was founded by papal bull. And there's just so much in there, I think, as well. You know, St Andrews is a special place. In 1894, Agnes Blackadder was the first woman in Scotland to gain a similar degree to men, because women weren't allowed to go to university, and I think that, you know, that's quite important. I love the colours in the tapestry. You've got there's the popes are in the tapestry. Bishop Wardlaw and Pope Benedict. You've got scholars in the tapestry. They have open books, they have closed books, and it's just to me, it's just teaching and learning, which is my profession. I'm a teacher, and I absolutely love that. What I find really lovely about that panel is the people who were stitched that panel, they took so much care and attention into what went into that panel as well. They carried out research. They went to St Andrews University Museum to find out what colour the old book should be, what colours, you know, the gown should be, what colours, you know, the papal robe should be. So it was really super. And they very much looked into using the medieval colours to make sure it matched up with, you know, they just wanted to get it right, because, you know, they're making this amazing piece of history for Scotland, and they ensured they got it right. And I think it's super. And what I really love about it as well is that in the bottom left-hand corner, there is an English rose, right? And the English rose signifies Princess Kate of Wales, because it's where Prince William met his English rose, Princess Kate of Wales. So I think that's quite nice. So obviously they were at university together. So again, without knowing that about the English rose,
there you go.
You know, you wouldn't know that.
Yeah.
So yes, absolutely. The St Andrews panel, for me, it's just me, I think. Yeah.
So that's panel 33.
Panel 33.
So our listeners will go and be sure to check out panel 33.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Stitching Scotland's Story. Next time we will continue to look at storytelling through digital technologies. We will be joined by Craig McIntyre, a marketing student at the University of Strathclyde, and we will also welcome back Centre Director Sandy Maxwell-Forbes to discuss how extended reality is the future of cultural attractions and explore how we can preserve Scotland's stories for generations to come.